webinar Wisdom Wednesday today. We have our special guest today. We have Claude Silver. She is the Heart Chief Officer at Viner X, and we are so excited to have you today, Claude. We are more than excited to talk about this amazing topic, which is empathy and sense of belongings in the workplace. And we want to hear your expertise and everything related to that. We have also Zia Mahi, our COO from CTI, and obviously he's here to lead the discussion and always giving us input and feedback as well from his perspective. Gavi, she is a Q&A person, so please don't forget to ask her questions. She's always ready to, to let the team know that everything is ready. We're going to try to give just one more minute just to see if somebody else more connect. But if you're seeing us, we're also live streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So please feel free to use whatever platform you feel comfortable with. We're starting in 1 minute just to hear this amazing conversation. And I'll see you soon, but just stay tuned. We're just going to start in 1 minute.
That's pretty cool. Oh, so how are things in Jersey right now?
They're good. They're good. Uh, we moved out here like when the pandemic hit. I was in Chelsea. I was in New York,
Hmm.
and it's great. I mean, it's like an hour commute, 45-minute commute. But coming home and there's trees and it's quiet and there's deers and all of that. Like I have two little kids, so it's really nice.
I have two little ones as well, and I used to commute over an hour every day. 'Cause I live out west, and our office was in Palm Beach, and it was a
Yeah,
solid hour. And
yeah,
God forbid somebody got into an accident. Now we're talking about multiple.
yeah.
So it was one, and I'm realizing I'm like, man, my kids are getting big, and I'm like, I didn't realize they could do that, and I was like, this isn't working. Then
Uh-huh.
when now I live 15 minutes from the office, and we come in 4 days a week.
Yeah,
Fridays we do a lot of remote,
yeah,
and it's just you notice your quality of life goes up a lot.
yeah.
And it's funny, like with what we do, I feel like our phones are always on anyway. It's not like you can't reach us. I mean, like I get
That's the
phone calls on
truth.
Saturday nights, which I'm like,
Yeah,
guys, go enjoy time with your family. Stop calling me on Saturday nights. But
that's the truth. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, guys, so we're going to start now. Thanks, everybody, to all the people who are joining. As I said at the beginning, we're really excited to have Zia and Claude here, and we're going to talk today about an important topic, and it's called empathy, kindness, and sense of belonging in the workplace. Claude, let's start with you. We just want to hear your expertise and especially how this happened to you. Who is Claude Silver, and how did she or you become the Heart Cheese officer at Vayner X?
Great. Well, thank you again for having me, Maria. It's wonderful to be here. Uh, Z and Gabby, great to meet you as well. So, what I can say is, I've been doing this role formally for about 8.5 years. I've been with Gary Vaynerchuk at Vayner for 10.5 years. And what I can really say is, this is a role that is without a doubt like my purpose. Without a doubt, it's who I am. Without a doubt, if I wasn't doing it here, I would be doing it someplace else. It's just the way I choose to see human beings and the way I choose to see the wonderful mess that we all are, is through a set of very, kind and empathetic eyes, because we're all going through something. There's not one of us that isn't, and we can all be just that much kinder to people in the workplace and not in the workplace, in life. So what I'll say is, I've always been this person. I've always been like this player coach, whether or not it was in high school, whether or not it was on, tennis or soccer teams. I owned a surfing company for a while in the San Francisco area in the cold Pacific. So I had this really killer tan, neck up, wrist down, because I was wearing thick wetsuits. Um, and I really like facilitating growth and change with people when they want me to be a passenger with them on their journey. So that's what I would say. And at Vayner, we're 2,000 people. When we created this job, we were maybe about 300 or so. So it's been a long ride, and figuring out how to scale was my biggest challenge. Now we have other things to figure out, because we have figured out scaling. I've been able to hire people in wonderful different locations. So it's really, how do we show up every day? That's what I care about. How am I showing up? How is that leader showing up? How is that person on Zoom showing up? What's up? Like, what's going on? And how can we assist them in in whatever it is so they can flourish in the workplace. It's that easy.
Thank you, Claude. Thank you so much for that. And then let's just move forward to the discussion and some of the questions that we previously had from people that want to hear you. So the first question to you and to C actually, it's more related to what are some practical ways that you think leaders can incorporate empathy into their day-to-day interactions with their employees?
So you want to go?
Sure. So I managed a sales team for forever, and one thing that I noticed is once you started incorporating empathy into your leadership style, you get them to do what you need them to do because they see it as what it's in their own best interest. And so what I always try to do with empathy was I always try to put myself in their shoes and what are their goals in life? And then how can they use the company as the resource or the vehicle to reach their own personal goals? And once that started, man, everything got a lot easier. Like we all in sales, you know, you have sales quotas. Hey, you got to hit your sales quota. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll get to it when I have a chance. And then, but what you realize is, all right, so why do you work here? I want to buy a house. Okay, now we're on to something. How do you buy a house? And you just kind of work backward from their goal. And what you find is if their goal is to buy a house and you just keep working back, hitting their sales quota helps them buy that house. And you saw a lot of that. And it really made it easy. But the thing, and one of the things that I'd say the most challenging part about that is finding out everybody's driven by something different. So you can't treat everybody the same, but you have to hold everybody accountable. It's a really fun, weird place you need to be in leadership because everybody's different, but you still need to get the same thing out of everybody. So for us, for my end of the world, it's I've tons of people reporting to us even here at CTI, and you just have to find what's driving each person and how can they use for our code, how can they use CTI to reach their goals. And Claude, I'd love to hear what your thoughts. You've been doing this a little bit longer than I have, so I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this.
Yep. Well, I think you hit it out of the park there. It's all about relationships. That's the thing. And so, to your point, you can't treat everyone like an apple, an apple, an apple. You do need to spend time, quality time, listening, asking questions that are going to, we hope, let people take down their armor and feel like, okay, I feel safe enough to connect with that person and let them know I'm in this job because I want to buy a house. I'm in this job because my son goes to school next door. I'm in this job because I love what I do and I just want to be, I want your job one day. So you really have to be in relationship. And that means you need to connect with people. And all of that, if you do it the right way, will build psychological safety and will build trust. And that's where the money shot is. Now, I see empathy a little bit differently in that empathy in my book is an emotion and the action, so empathy and action is kindness and compassion. And we learn that at 2, 3, 4 years old, how to be kind and compassionate. So if I put those lenses on and I ask everyone else to put those on, being kind and compassionate with another person means you're really a passenger with them on their journey. I don't have any solutions. I'm figuring Claude out. That's enough. But I can offer a space which is non-judgmental, a space that is filled with kindness and compassion, a space that is also filled with lived experience because I have a lot of that, and wanting to really help them get from point A to B to C. Now, vulnerability is a big part of that. Active listening is a big part of that. As a leader, these are the things I believe are non-negotiables. Knowing how to put your ego in the back seat and bring humility into the conversation. It's not about me. When I'm speaking to someone, it's not about turning Claude into a superstar. It's turning Maria or Gabby into their own superstar so they can be proud of their work. So you have to just switch the lenses just a little bit. It's not about me, it's about you. So I am here to receive what you have to share with me. And I am going to be vulnerable with you because that's also how you're going to get to trust me. You're going to see that I'm full of warts just like the next person. And then hopefully through that we build a wonderful relationship so that you can feel free to say, this is what I need. This is why I'm in this job. This is my hopes and dreams. In 5 years I want to move to, Turkey. Whatever it is, you have to open yourself up to that though. That's the thing. And so many times, many of us have limiting beliefs or the imposter syndrome that hold us back from thinking that we deserve an opportunity. And so, a large part of my job as a leader is to understand or be able to help someone identify what those limiting beliefs are
Mm.
so we can
Mhm.
spot it and we can park them and move forward with an opportunity.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Claude. That's true. And actually so right. And especially when you said the vulnerability is so hard to find it, even for example, with your boss, you sometimes don't feel that they feel vulnerable with you, or sometimes you feel that it's difficult to open up to that people. And it's so important from leaders to show that too. Now we have another question, Claude, and it's related to how does empathy or all these, attitudes of kindness and everything that you're mentioning, which is important, can contribute to a company's success beyond just improving the workplace culture? What other areas can improve adding this empathy and kindness to the workplace?
Yeah. I mean, productivity, creativity,
Mm-hmm.
innovation. What is the ROI of being kind and compassionate? What is the ROI of care? Well, I don't understand what wouldn't be the ROI. Because if you're truly coming forward without your ego and you're here to be in team, in communication, in connection with another person, then sky's the limit. Really, you become unstoppable because you don't have to worry about all of that stuff, the politics and this and that and this, which of course we all carry with us every single day. But you can just go forward and do the best work that you can do. You can do the best job that you can do. And so, really, the ROI is, yes, of course, a healthy culture and a friendly culture and a warm culture, but putting brains together that are curious about a certain topic and seeing what they innovate on, like that is where you are then going to get your product team to create something and go to market with that. So there's tons of ways that empathy, kindness, compassion pay off. I cannot tell you of a way they don't. I haven't found that, and I'm been looking and looking and looking. I am working with a person out of Stanford University right now to help quantify care in the workplace. I don't have the equation yet. We're working hard on it because I think that will be the winning ticket for the CFOs, the board, whomever it is you report to say, you see, this actually works. I'm going to show you how this works. Here's the ROI. And by the way, we don't have attrition. That means we haven't had to spend money filling those seats again, which takes almost 33% more money to replace a person than keep a person.
100%.
Zia, what is your input on that?
So I love having Claude on this because we come from two different sides of the company, and we might see the exact same thing, and we can use it in two different aspects to get the company to where we want to go. I want to address a word you used last time, and you said kindness. And I grew up I would say very different from how kids today are growing up. I grew up with a lot of tough love. And I feel like tough love is a fantastic form of kindness because sometimes you need to hear something you don't want to hear. And I do that a lot here. I'm very, very comfortable giving somebody tough love because, to your point, we've built that relationship between us to where they know any criticism from me is constructive. I don't mean anything personal by it. It's strictly, I think you can do better if you did this.
Mhm.
And it's awesome because it's not me like patting you on the back, hey, buddy, you can do better next time. It's a completely different, stronger conversation but it still comes from kindness. Like, I want you to be better.
Right. Right.
And it's cool seeing it from both sides. And then the other thing that what we were talking about on this one is, how does this, the empathy, the kindness, how does this work in beyond just building culture? I think for us and for everywhere that I've been, it helps build the future of your company. And what I've noticed, especially, and like we talk about this, especially post COVID, is we've seen a lot of companies falter growing their companies with leaders because people aren't around. Everybody's at home. So you're not building those relationships that you would build, like the old water cooler conversations. I'm in my office for a reason. Anybody who wants to come and talk to me walks into my office and we have a conversation. And that's what you're really building. Is I might see something in somebody like, I didn't notice that about them before. And I'm like, okay, this person might be really good at this. How can I groom this person into taking on this responsibility? So what I see in this is, how can you grow your company to a level that you didn't even realize you could get to, and doing it internally, doing it organically, as opposed to bringing somebody else from the outside who may not share your same values, your same core principles.
Yep.
So I think I love having you on, because we're talking from two completely different sides of the spectrum, but we're all trying to get to the same place. So this has been fun.
Yeah, same. We call tough love kind candor.
Kind candor.
That's what we call it at Vayner. And it works, meaning feedback works, frequent feedback works. People know I'm not, no one's trying to criticize, as you said, their personality. It is, when we give that feedback, we want to be as kind as we can be, specific and clear. We want to do it pretty immediate. We don't want to, don't give me feedback 3 months that, I'm a different person than I was 6 months ago. And you want to make it actionable. So the person knows what to do, what steps to do, where will I be in the process, helping, facilitating, greasing the wheels. So yeah, exactly. Same.
Beautiful.
Awesome. So we have one last question, and I would like this to address a little bit fast because we have so many questions to you, Claude. But the thing is more related. The question is more related to what would be the practical or actionable things that you will suggest to us to do. For example, we should take as a company leaders or even the employees. Is it okay to have seminars once in a while? Do you think weekly? Is it important to keep talking about empathy, kindness? Maybe how often? So what would be like the actionable items that we should do in order to increase empathy, kindness in the workplace?
Yeah, I mean, you have to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk. There's nothing in our
Mm-hmm.
building that says, empathy rocks or
Mm-hmm.
kindness is contagious. Why? Well, because it has to become an action. People have to do it. It has to become habitual, consistent. A sign on the wall doesn't mean anything. That's nothing. That's just a sign on the wall. You have to have empathy in action. You need to be doing things with human beings in your workplace to show, walk the walk, to show that this is real. I care about you. I'm going to sit with you. I want to know about whatever is going on in your life that you want to share with me, which is preventing you from being a high performer. What is it that's going on in your life that where you come in late every day? What is going on? Let's figure this out together, because we want you to be here, but you have to join me, right? We have to literally be in that communication together. We can't just expect, you can't just, what is it? I wish it was as easy as, Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Life is different now. The workplace is different. We have 5 generations in the workplace, and our Gen Z, which we know and love, and they are going to change the world for sure. They have so many different needs than a Gen Xer like me has. They have so many other things they ask for that I would never have asked for in my workplace. So we have to be willing to receive that and figure out what we're going to do at scale. Because if Zia comes in and he said, "You know what? I work best when I'm on a walking treadmill. Can you get me a walking treadmill?" No, I cannot. But if 200 people ask for a walking treadmill, oh, okay, there's a pattern. Let me figure out what they're actually trying to get at. So again, consistency
Yeah.
is key. Consistency in how you show up. And again, how you show up. Are you the person that comes into the room with your head in your phone, or you come into the room and you're like, hey guys, how's it going? How's your weekend? What's going on? People pick up on that.
Thank you so much, Claude. And now, Gabby, we have a lot of questions. So if you want to lead the team into those, so go ahead.
Yes, I love this part. Okay, so we have here a question. How do you create a culture where everyone feels heard, valued, and included?
Who's that? Zia, you want to take that, or is that for
You
jump on?
decide.
Zia,
I think I'd give that one to you first because you're the one who's already created it.
Wow.
yeah, it's everything we spoke about. It's the consistency. You cannot you can't skip that part, because if I show up like this today, you're going to expect me to show up like this tomorrow and the next day and the next day. If I show up like this today and tomorrow I'm really a curmudgeon and I don't have any time for you, like, that's going to confuse you. So again, it's creating these bonds where people feel safe enough to speak their minds. That's called psychological safety. Not micromanaging, not, checking in on someone's work and pointing out all of the mistakes. No one wants to work for you if you do that. No one, let's just be honest. You don't want to work for someone that's pointing out your mistakes all day and not at least giving you some kind of flower, right? I'm not talking about being cheap and cheerful and just like, oh, yeah, you're great. I mean, like, thank you for being here. I appreciate your input in that meeting. I appreciate how you helped onboard Jack or Jill. You have to be willing to stretch yourself, to show gratitude, all of the emotional intelligence traits. They're there for a reason. I don't call them soft skills. I call them necessary life skills, and they make sense. Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. How you make someone feel, that's the end all be all. And so my response is, that means you need to show up, you need to check yourself and make sure you can show up in a way that is going to provide them with as much freedom and autonomy and curiosity and whatnot that they need, so they feel like they can fly. That's what we want. We hired them for a reason. We didn't hire them because we all like Dave Matthews. We hired them because they have a skill set that we need, and they happen to be a wonderful human.
Wow, I love all what you are saying. It's true.
And with what she said, on our side, you just have to practice and you cannot forget to practice it. If you want people to feel heard and valued, included, you have to practice activities that would make them feel that way. That's
Yeah.
why, like with us, I try to have, we know for our recruiters, I try to have us have recruiter led trainings. I try to have somebody else run our meetings so they feel valued, they feel heard, they feel like they have responsibility. And I feel like the more you empower your people, the more and more you're going to have that culture that you want. People that are empowered tend to be more productive. They tend to get more done. They tend to, your company just tends to be a better company when people are empowered.
Okay, thanks, Sia. Here we have another question. How do you turn your team into their own superstar?
It's everything that we've said already. It's creating relationships and finding out what their nugget of good is. What is it that they are exceptional at? Because everyone is going to have their own gifts. Some people are going to be great at being an extrovert and, bringing people in and, like, oh, creating this vibe. Some people are going to be great at being more of the introvert and the quiet people, which we need as well. Some people are going to be fantastic with analytics. Some people are going to be fantastic on the creative side. But you don't know that unless you see it happening and you give them a fertile ground to do their stuff. You know, I'll go back. I just mentioned micromanaging in the last question. Micromanagement is a killer, meaning it kills your soul. No one wants someone looking over their shoulder, looking at how they do things. That's not why you go to work. You go to work for a zillion reasons, and one of them is to progress. I don't know if everyone sees on my forehead here. It's an invisible ink. but it says, I want to grow. Help me grow. Zia, you have it right there.
See it?
Even we want to grow, right? So help them grow into the human and the employee and whatever it is they want to be while you have them for 8 or 9 hours a day. Help them grow so that they will help the next person and the next person, and it scales into a team of superstars.
Thank you, Cloud. Okay, and the next and last question is what advice will you give to leaders looking to build a sense of community and connection, especially in remote or hybrid teams?
Yeah. Zia, you want to go?
Sure. I've said this a couple times on our webinars. The building an environment of entrepreneurship and allowing your people to be responsible for something and allowing them to create their own entity, their own division almost within the company. And what I've seen with that is if you want to build a superstar, that's how you build them superstars. It's almost like the nuance of leadership is getting them to do what you want them to do and making them feel like it's their own idea. That's the beauty of nuance, getting them to do something like that. Because realistically, it's in their best interest. It's in everybody's aligned at that point. So if you're trying to build a sense of community, a connection, whether they're remote makes it much more difficult. If you have the opportunity to have a hybrid team when they're in, then be all about that person. Get lunch with them, have coffee with them, get to know them personally, professionally. Try to maximize your time with them. Because what you're going to see is when they're not there, they're going to be putting in extra effort. They're going to be doing more because they want to do more. And that's huge. When they're remote, I do this all the time. Call them on the side. I know both of you guys on this call have had individual calls from me. I do it all the time. I like doing that because I want to get to know you guys I want to know you guys on a personal level. I want to know you guys on a professional level. I want you to know that I care about you. That way, if I ask for something, you're like, yeah, sure, no problem. You don't even think about like, oh God, I can't believe he's asking me to do this. It's like, oh, cool, no problem. I'll take care of that for you. And when you start building that, that's huge. Like, for example, our CEO, he's like, hey, man, I need you to take care of something. Like, yeah, sure, no problem. It took me like 8 minutes, was done. I didn't even think twice about it. But it's because we have such a good relationship. I don't feel like he's asking me to do something. And I'm like, oh, God, not again. When you have that resentment, you're going the exact opposite direction. You have to ask yourself, is it you or is it them? And sometimes that's the tough part. It's looking in the mirror and admitting, is it my fault? And if you feel like you've done everything, then you have to ask yourself the question, did I hire the right person? And the sense of community, that's big. One of the biggest things I've learned is sometimes you have to cut to grow because it's the wrong person. They're not going to grow with you. They don't have your vision. They don't want to have your vision. And they're going to be like a cancer. And they spread and they can ruin high potential, like your younger people, the high potential younger people that can easily get tainted.
Well said. We say something. We say something at work, which is point thumbs, not fingers. So we always look to ourselves first to take accountability. Is it something I did? Did I send someone down the wrong path? Whatnot? You point thumbs before you point fingers, and that if you do that, that again is empathy in action. That's just showing someone that, listen, we're in this together. You're not the only one here that is going to get an F. I can grade myself an F too sometimes. You know, that's what I love about where we are right now, the evolution of the workplace and bringing empathy and more emotional intelligence into the workplace. Like I said, the generation that is here, Z, and the generation that is coming, Alpha, will not tolerate glass ceiling. They will not tolerate being ruled by in an ivory tower. They just won't. It's a different world. So the empathy, the kindness, the understanding, the gratitude and generosity, that's here to stay.
Mhm.
So let's get used to it and let's figure out what our way of showing that is. So it's coming from a very, very truthful part in you.
Okay, thank you both for your answers. And I know that I said that we have a last question, but this one is very interesting, so I want to do it. Um, it is often said in the corporate world, you have to be kind, or you don't have to be nice. But what do you think of this? Is that often the situation?
Well, I don't know the difference between kind and nice. I mean, kind sounds to me like what you see is what it's my energy. I have kind energy and I'm nice that I'm going to hold the door open for you. But I'm kind. You see, you can feel a generosity and an authenticity in my energy. That's what I my hope is for every leader out there, for every manager out there to get to that place of self-awareness for themselves. That's like it costs me nothing to be kind. In fact, I get so much in return. So, like I say, nice, I think nice is probably like getting someone a cup of coffee, but that's a different kind of generosity, right? That's a different kind of energy. And kindness, I think, is something you just feel. And it gives you a sense of bonding and calm, confidence, and well being, safety.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Claude and Sia, thank you so much. We are just 1 more minute.
Thank
But
you.
anyway, and if you guys have questions, please don't forget to follow Claude on LinkedIn. Please, she's ready to answer some of your questions too. Don't forget to follow CTI as well. We are at CTI Staffing on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter as well. Thank you so much for joining, Sia. Thank you, Claude, for your amazing words and expertise. And it's so important how these topics really bring a lot of, like you said, kindness, and it's really nice to talk about this. It's really important to remember these things. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you, Zina. Thank you,
Thank
Gabby.
you.
And I'll see you next webinar. So thank you guys for joining.